Thank you very much, Senator. First, I want to thank my friends and colleagues, Court Subcommittee Chairman Hank Johnson, Senator Markey, and Representative Jones for their leadership in introducing this bill. I also want to acknowledge the work of the broad coalition of public interest groups supporting the bill and educating the public about an important reform to the structure of the Supreme Court, one that by historical standards is long overdue. Everything that Senator Markey said about the maneuvers of Senator McConnell and the Republicans delegitimizing the Supreme Court is obviously true. There is no justification. There can be no justification for what they did. And how can Americans look at the Supreme Court and expect it to do justice, to do equal justice, when it has been so severely politically and obviously politically manipulated? But some people will say, but the Supreme Court, it's always been 9 members. But it hasn't. There's nothing new about changing the size of the Supreme Court. The Constitution leaves the number of justices up to Congress. And Congress has changed that number 7 times in the history of the country. Our founders understood that as the country and the judicial system evolve, the court needs to evolve with it. And this legislation represents a much-needed next step in that evolution. Many people think about the Supreme Court in terms of its individual members, and they're right to do so. But it's also the fact that in addition to what we were referring to a few minutes ago in terms of the legitimacy of the court, the efficiency of the court is another question. 9 justices may have made sense in the 19th century when there were only 9 circuits. Only a few hundred appeals were filed before the court every year. And so many of our most important laws, everything from civil rights to antitrust, the internet, financial regulation, healthcare, immigration, and white-collar crime, simply did not exist as far as the court was concerned and did not require adjudication by the Supreme Court. But the logic behind having only 9 justices is much weaker today when there are 13 circuit courts, thousands of cases filed before the court each year, and the full range of statutes and regulations that make our economy and our society work. And that's why, unlike through most of our history, the Supreme Court accepts certiorari, accepts cases in a tiny, tiny fraction of cases. And that means that most cases, the vast majority of cases, the overwhelming majority of cases, don't get considered by the Supreme Court, which they are entitled to do, and throughout much of our history did. Our predecessors made eminent sense when they pegged the size of the Supreme Court to the number of judicial circuits. As our country has grown, so too to the Supreme Court. 13 justices for 13 circuits is a logical progression. And that is another reason why I'm glad to join my colleagues in introducing, not a nice number, it's a proper number. It matches the number of circuits as it has historically. And it also will enable us to do justice and to rectify the great injustice that was done in packing the court. And some people will say we're packing the court. We're not packing it. We're unpacking it. Senator McConnell and the Republicans packed the court over the last couple of years, as Senator Markey outlined. So this is a reaction to that. It's a necessary step in the evolution of the court, and I'm proud to co-sponsor it. And now let me introduce our one of our co-sponsors, Congressman Hank Johnson, who's one of the authors of this legislation.